Mercury Radio Network.
I want the people of America to be able to work less for the government and more for themselves.
Wonderful time to be alive.
Let us be shy no longer.
We will be TimeFactor. We'll be the king. We will be.
Going back in a very healthy direction.
We will be. Somebody's gotta say it. We will be. The real considered truth lives here. This is the final close in TimeFactor video commentary thoughts.
Pat Grant Stupor here. We got that program. Actually, joined.
Why? Because it's Thursday.
Are you standing
again?
again?
Friday, but
are you actually standing up?
It's gonna be. Thank God it's Friday.
I don't think you really care. I'm not even gonna
And
answer.
I hope you do something as much as we all do. Anyways, welcome to Final Closing TimeFactor video commentary thoughts. And guess what? It's gonna be the year of protest. I got this from our Sunday Visitor newspaper, and I got this out. It's called Focus. It's called a year of protest. So what's next in a year of protest? Well, here it is. We are better. Are we better or worse off than we were last year? Because here's the answer. For your information, I know that Catholic wisdom. I like Catholics. Trust me. But at the end of the year, we're drawn to this 12 months of past of glean some meaning of this number of occurred, and this is the impulse. But it's not a bad thing. Well, it's bad. Because we take a look back in the year of protest, and this is luckily features, and this is for the instance. So this is what happens: the Big Bang Theory, and this has been hurling some long ago. Well, have you realized that this one could be in the Bible? Anyone could civilized, but here in the Western world, if you're not a religious and you just try to tend to sneak drinks from that well, but you had to replace God and stuff and all the chatter and progress. Well, in the dark ages of this Christian tradition, and into this glorious future, post. Well, back in the remember this back in the 50s and the 60s. Everybody towards into this interplanetary civilization of gee whiz golden age, science fiction, the biggest of the universe, and it could be space, the final frontier. And here's your final frontier in this one. This is from. You don't want to know about this one. An Occupy demonstrator is arrested by New York City police during this what protesters or the organizers called a day of action back in November 17, 2011. The crowd of several hundred protesters marched into Zuccotti Park in Lower Manhattan to the New York Stock Exchange. This is from CNS News, according to Reuters. This guy arrested. You see this? This guy arrested. You might think you're so smart about this one. Get this one. And I'll deal with this Occupy Wall Street a little bit later. Now get this one. Protesters. Now this is the new John F. Kennedy's New Frontier. You think it's John F. Kennedy's New Frontier? Well, history becomes not a line, so to speak. But everyone shoots and looks like everyone's civilized. Take a look at this. This post-Christian outlook of the West, inside the Western world. Vanities, vanities. All things are vanity. Vanity. So, what's next? According to Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 2. Verses 2 to 11. And now I'm going to read all of it. But this is what happens. One generation departs. What else if one generation departs? You see? Six after another generation comes, but the world, you know who, stays forever. And when the sun rises and when the sun sets, then it presses on to the place. It's shifting south, north, and then north and back for the wind, which is cold outside. I hope it's going to be 9 degrees. And this weekend's going to be warming up. Well, this is all the history. This is all the history of this gospel becoming incarnate to God in His passion, death, resurrection, and ascension from only the real news. Has this to be the fall? Well, guess what? This is the fall being part of this creation. Now this will rearrange your life. This is what happens. That's right. This I suppose that protesters try to shout slogans at a demonstration in Benghazi in February 2011, and that's why Christians in Libya will fear in the dictator of Muammar Gaddafi would lead to takeover by Islamic fundamentalists, and what that will threaten their safety. This is the worst. This is the worst of this protesting thing. What's next in our list? Well, you might know this one. Quote this from Romans chapter 8, verses 20 to 21. And it says, creation was made subject to fertility, not in its own accord, but because of the one who subjects it, in the hope in that creation would itself to be free, to be set free from slavery to corruption, and share the glorious freedom of God, freedom of the children of God. Now, how's that for a Bible scripture for this one? And you might think it's so sorry about Pope Benedict the 16th arrives to celebrate Mass in Cotonou, Benin, back in November 20th, 2011. Well, let us remember that this is incarnation of this protest of the year, as far as we're concerned. And you might think it's being the rise and fall of you know who, occupied Wall Street. This is what happens. They're marching up and down because be unrest of September and the following months to come. And you might see this Occupy Wall Street movement begin to march up and down in New York City. And this is what happens. Occupy movement, it could be the discontent and deciduous marriage of Caesar and Mammon this year. And you know why? As the Tea Partiers, we conservatives are a Tea Party people. We, us, conservatives. I'm not an Occupy Wall Street people. Tarot things. This. We are conservatives. We are Christian conservatives. And you might think it's so smart about this one marching up and down back in September 30th. This is what happens. Seriously, this is what happens. They're demonstrating, holding signs, and protesting the march. The stupid demonstrators. And what's next on our list? This one you don't want to know. Next week, next Monday, occupied people were marching up and down. That means Omaha groups are planning to, you know who, rally on Martin Luther King's Day to protest economic. Monday, it's Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. Don't you think you have anyone else can civilize marching up and down, and consequently, that's why the Tea Party movement and like the Tea movement and or it could be Occupy Wall Street movement. And this is what the only thing that happens is that God is the enemy of God's side of Karl Marx. But the brighter side is to openness, to us Christians and Catholic teaching in both camps. They're teaching God. Now, I don't have a lot of time here, but this is what happens when Gerardo de Jesus writes to receive these food items from a vulture at the Sister Regis food cupboard in Rochester, New York, back in October of 2011. Now you see what happens? And so is Arab Spring. This is why another elder Egyptian man will try to cast his vote at a polling station in Cairo back in November 28, 2011. Now, what's next on our list of things to come? And you might think you're so smart about this one. This is what happens. President Barack Obama in a meeting in the congressional leading at the White House on... Oh boy. Just look at this. Nancy Pelosi, July 11th. And you know what? I think because... and so is the translation. I hope they're being translated for the Roman Missal, which I'll explain this on next week. It could be a translation of the Mass. Because the Gospel, which translates us to the... there are 69 new Catholics every second. This one. But I'll explain this one on Monday. And the moral story is, when 2012, that's this year, approaches, the world sometimes appear without a prayer, but the church is empathically equipped to continue in supplication. Remember the words of Jesus, according to Matthew chapter 28, verse 20 says, "Behold, I am with you always until the end of the age." That's right, Armageddon time is going to be disastrous. You get the picture. That's the year to protest. And next week I will get inside this one, and then the Mass. Wow, I love this lady. She's good. Now see what you come up with, as far as we're concerned. Anyways.
To the wealthy.
Anyways, don't forget to Facebook me and follow me at facebook.com/LHMusicTime, and so is twitter.com/LHMusicTime. Check my website, lhmusictimefactor.weebly.com. And why? Because the real conservative truth lives here. And speaking of protest, we're not protesting, I'm sorry. We're going to have some fun tomorrow from Ustream.tv for the for my Time Factor in final closing Time Factor video commentary thoughts for Friday. Trust me about that. And don't forget, I'll be here on the radio, and so is on television, which I'm back this weekend, for as we concern, on Premier Radio Networks, and so is Fox, as far as we concern. Anyways, LH Music, America's Global Festival Christian Conservative, is signing off, and we will be the real conservative key for real conservative answers. That's why the real conservative truth lives here. And I'm out the door. See ya. Bye bye.